We're back at you with gloves off, and today we have a great woman leader of Webb County. Her name is Esther Degollado, and she's a Webb County district clerk. And let's see what the Webb County clerk does, because many people do not know exactly what that office and that department do. So, Ms. Degollado, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for inviting me to your show. And yes, it's very true. A lot of people don't know what the district clerk's office entails. And the district clerk's office is a very important office in the judicial system. I've always expressed that the district clerk's office is the heart of the judicial system. Without the clerk's office, the courts would not be able to function.
In what way would you say that? What is that little heart that's pumping?
Yes. Well, actually, you see, at the clerk's office is I'm the custodian of records for all the civil and criminal filings. A civil, we could have like a family divorces and other civil litigations, and all the felony criminal cases. Those documents or those cases are filed in my department.
Okay.
And those are, as the district clerks, I support staff to the courts.
Okay.
We have presently 4 district courts and 2 county courts at law in which I support staff to.
Do you also do the JP courts, or
No, I do not do the JP.
So those are those a court of record as well, or they're not?
No,
Or they're done differently?
They're differently. They're not court of records.
Okay. So when you say that you staff, do you have physical people from your department that go to each court?
Yes, I do. I have my court clerks who are the ones responsible in taking the files to the courts.
Okay.
And as court clerks, they're the ones that assist the court with giving the oath to witnesses.
Okay.
They take down notes of what the hearing is being held. Mind you, they're not the court reporters who are the ones that take note word by word. My court clerks are the ones that take notes of the hearing, of,
Okay.
the findings of the hearings.
Okay. So it's kind of like. So in other words, let me ask you this, because many people wouldn't. Okay. If somebody wanted to get some more information about a court or a case, can they go to you? And
they would come
it?
to my office. I am the custodian of records. Those cases are in my office. My clerk takes those files to the hearings, but then they bring them back to us.
Okay.
So those records are stored in my office. I have 2 vaults, one for the district courts and one for the county courts of law.
Okay.
Now, back in July of 2014, we were mandated by the Supreme Court to go paperless. So now everything, it's with the civil cases, we were mandated to go paperless. So since July of 2014, now attorneys are requested or mandated to file their civil cases through e-filing.
Okay.
So we have older records, physical records from from June of 2014. Previous to that, from July 2014 forward, is paperless.
It's paperless. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It makes sense. Things change.
Yes. And come January, we're going to go paperless with the criminal filings as well.
Okay. That's interesting. And that should be, actually, because the whole nation should be able to get a criminal record, right?
Yes.
And before that, how do they do it? Do they just go here, or do they have to?
Well, no. To get criminal records, if there's a criminal case filed against them, they can come to my office and we can provide them with the information that they may be requesting. But if you're talking about background checks, that's not my department.
No. I would just, in other words, so-and-so had a crime and was here. Somebody and does the same thing in New York. They can put them together, can't they? Or no?
The cases here.
No. In other words, he was convicted of something here, or he was
No,
not
the case
convicted.
stays here.
The case stays here.
Yes.
And if they look for it, they can look for it over there as well. No?
Well,
now that it's going to be all connected.
It's when I say paperless, is meaning that they're being e-filed.
Right.
And the case stays here. If they committed another crime elsewhere, then they would. But yes, if you're asking if they can do a search,
Sure.
yes, they can do a search. Yes.
That's That's
yes,
what we're looking for.
I'm sorry, I understood that the case was going to be transferred.
No, it's a search. So in other words,
a search, yes.
If a person, let's see how many criminal cases he has throughout the United States, and now it's a lot easier to find.
Right now we have the judge's calendar, which the civil cases are in, and they can find out if there was a case
right
through this judge's calendar.
What else do you see, or what else can you tell the public? This is what we need to do to better our judicial system. I know a lot of people are afraid to file, are afraid to sue. Some are sue happy, but some are afraid of going through a lot of the process. Some of them are afraid of going to the jury because they're going to be. What do you say about that?
Yes.
Are we missing out somewhere, especially with the jury?
Okay, with jury, as your district clerk in charge of as custodian of records for all the cases that are coming in, I'm also the manager, or I'm also the person responsible for the central jury room, where we summon potential jurors to come in and do their civic duty. And there's a process that we go through when we call jurors to come in. And to answer your question about people being afraid to file lawsuits, my best recommendation for them would be that they would need to seek legal advice.
Correct.
There's some parties that decide to file on their own, and in reality, if they don't know the law, it's not highly recommended for them to file a case on their own.
Sure.
So it's highly recommended that they seek legal advice. And as far as potential jurors being afraid to answer the call of duty, yes, we do have a lot of those.
What occurs, Ms. Degollado, what occurs if a person is summoned to go to jury and doesn't show up? What are the processes there? Do they get penalized? Do they not get penalized? Or what can happen?
Well, they could get penalized. I know that a few months ago, maybe close to a year now, a juror walked out, and yes, that person was fined. You can get fined. It just depends on what step the judge would like to take. But talking about jury service, there's a lot of people that when they get a jury summons, they call me, why did you call me? Why did you summons me? Well, this is something that, people need to understand, that it's not me picking and choosing names. There's a process that we follow, and that process is that we get a list from the state, which is compiled from the elections office, for the voter registration, and DPS with your driver's license, or if you have a Texas ID or your driver's license. And those lists are compiled together. So when we request for a list of potential jurors, that's the list that the state sends us.
You're funny that you should say that that your last elections or election process, they look through the list. I've talked to some folks, and they say, I don't want to vote because I'm going to be called to jury.
Not necessarily. It's not only because they're registered to vote means that they're going to be called for jury.
You can be called from another.
Oh yes, you can be called through if you have a valid ID or a Texas ID,
right,
or your driver's license.
Correct.
So DPS and elections office are the ones that submit the list to the state.
How often is this? Because all the courts, do they have one jury? Like everybody goes in there and says, okay, you guys here will go for this court, or you guys here go for the other one? Or does each court have a jury summons?
No. The way it works is there's a calendar that the judges work on,
okay,
a yearly calendar, and they give me those dates. They provide the central jury room with the dates that are scheduled for jury Mondays. And for the most part, it's twice a month. Sometimes we can have 3 jury Mondays scheduled for a month, or sometimes we could even have a special panel coming in. So the judges, when they're working with their cases, the court coordinators would know when to schedule a jury case. Mm-hmm. So once they know, let's say for instance, we're having a jury next Monday. By Friday, the courts will notify us how many panels they each need for that jury Monday.
Okay.
So when we summon the potential jurors to come in, they all are summoned to report at the central jury room.
Okay.
And from there, one of the judges, whoever is the judge assigned to qualify in that month, will come down and go through the qualification process.
Which is?
The judge will give them instructions, and then the judge will explain the qualifications and exemptions. There's several qualifications that you to serve as a juror, you need to meet the qualifications. And
which are?
They're to be a U.S. citizen,
Of course.
be over the age of 18, to read and write the English language, to be a resident of the county, not have any felony criminal records,
right?
and I believe those are the majority of them. There's about 7 qualifications that one must meet to be able to qualify to serve in a jury.
And exceptions?
Now, and exceptions, there's also some exceptions in which you can claim. And one of them being if you're over the age of 70. Now, on that exemption, you may choose. I mean, not only because you qualify to be exempt means that you cannot serve. You can still serve, okay? But that's only if you choose to serve. We've had persons who are over the age of 70, but they don't claim their exemption, and that's totally fine. They can still serve. Another exemption would be if you have children under the age of 12 years old, or 10, I'm sorry. And now, if you don't have someone to take care for your child, then if you're the one staying with your child at home, then that's perfectly fine. You can claim an exemption. But if you're a working parent, then that's not an exemption. So there's several other exemptions if you're the primary caregiver of your spouse or a family member. Not that you're working like as a palomita, that's not an exemption. So there's several exemptions that one may, if you can choose to sign to be exempt.
Right.
Now, in some other instances, there may be some hardship cases in which maybe for a reason or another, someone, when you're called in to report on that day you can't serve, then you still need to report to us, letting us know the reason why you can't serve, and the judge would be the one to excuse you. If you have a hardship case, the only one that could excuse you is the qualifying judge for that.
Now, here's one. What does the jury get paid? Do they get paid, or they serve for free, or what's their?
No, the jury. Well, they
have to get.
They do get paid.
They
yes.
get compensated. For
they
their
get compensated,
service.
even though it may not be much, but they do get compensated. To be as a qualified juror, you get $6. So once you're qualified,
you get $6 per day.
$6. Well, it's $6 for that day, because on that Monday you're either going to be chosen to be on a panel. Or not.
Okay, so you get $6.
You get $6.
That's another reason why a lot of people don't go in there.
Yes, but a lot of people, we as citizens need to understand that that's one of our duties as citizens. That we is the only obligation that we have.
I understand. I understand. Here's one. If a person, let's say I have a case, and in the middle of the case, I say, you know what, I want the jury. I don't want the judge. Can that happen?
Yes.
Are there motions for that? How does one go about it? Because here, we know Laredo, we know Webb County, there's a lot of lawyer-judge favoritism.
Mm-hmm.
So, and how can one, as a citizen, say, I've seen this, can we all of a sudden go into is there a motion of some sort to become make it from a judge only case to a jury case?
Yes, it all depends. It all depends on the parties and the attorneys, and I guess mainly on the attorney how what they recommend. But yes, they file a jury demand.
Okay.
They file a jury demand, and once that jury demand is filed, that your case is placed into the jury docket. But anyone has a right to a jury trial.
Now, does that cost more, or does it cost the county more, or does it cost the individual that asked for it, or qué pasa?
It costs the county more because we have to send out the notices, the jury summons, and then have all those jurors come in the potential jurors come in and then select. In order for us to have, a good number of jurors, we have to summon a good number of potential jurors so that we can have a good panel.
So, let's say a panel's 12, correct?
Okay, to hear a jury trial,
Yes.
It's a 12 jurors.
12 jurors make one panel.
Okay. When I say panels, is we summoned, and the process that we do is we summon 1,800 jurors.
Okay.
18 summonses go out.
1,800.
1,800.
Okay.
For a Monday, and then those on
What's
jury Monday.
What's the percentage that come back from 1,800?
Okay, on jury Mondays we have a percentage of about maybe 16% of those that were sent out that report on
About
jury Monday.
1,600?
No, 16%.
No, that's not much.
About 300, a
About
little over
300.
300. But then we have those that return their jury summons with either the disqualifications, or exemptions.
Correct.
And then we have the other percentage that don't reply to us at all. So what I would like to announce to everyone is that for them to take this notice very serious, because it is a very serious matter. It's a very important matter to serve, and it's an official document that you're receiving. So if at any time you get a jury summons, and let's say that person that got summoned is not a resident of that household anymore, or that person is deceased, or that person, whatever reason they may have that person cannot report to jury duty, it is very important that they notify us so that we can keep record
for
that person.
Yeah.
Now, we do submit reports to the state. If the person is deceased, we'll notify the state. That way the state can remove
it
from the list. That way, whenever we need to reinvent the jury wheel, those names won't come up again. People have come in and tell me, you know what, I already, this is the second or third time I get a jury summons. And when we check, yes, but they keep getting a jury summons because they didn't report to us, that they no longer reside in town, or that they wanted to claim an exemption. There's various reasons.
Can people do that online?
Yes, they can. We have on the jury summons, there's the website in which they can claim their deferments online.
Let's say a person's not going to be in town.
Mm-hmm.
What happens?
If a person is already scheduled not to be in town, like I said, the only ones that can excuse are the judges. But me, as the district clerk, I can postpone you for the first time. Mm-hmm. If you already have a scheduled trip for that day, I can go ahead and postpone you. But then the second time around, when you get called in, you have to show up and get an excuse from the court.
Right. Great. What else does the department touch base with? What else is of grief that you would like to tell everybody out there that, come on, we need your all's help? Yes,
it is very important. Like I said, it is very important that when you get called for a jury, to answer to the summons. When serving in a jury, you play a very important role. You become a judge if you're selected, for to be on to hear a trial, a case by jury trial. You become the judge, and you get to listen to the evidence. So, just imagine if you were on the litigant's side. That, let's say you were a litigant and you don't get enough jurors to come in to be able to listen to your case. You won't get a fair trial if there's not enough. You won't get a jury trial if there's not enough jurors. We've been fortunate that we have not had the need of calling jurors to come, those that did not show to come back, because we've always had enough jurors. But it is very important to make sure that they respond to the jury summons.
What would happen to a case? I guess you have to get the 12, right?
Yes. Okay, the way it works is when the judges finishes qualifying the panels, we the whole 300 jurors that we get, we give them a break, and during that break that they're having, we're at the office getting the number of panels that the judges need. And when I say panels, I may have one of the judges requesting a panel of 40 jurors, another panel of 65, another
Those
panel.
are the cases that they have.
Yes, depending on how many cases
Right.
they have, that's the number of juries that we're going to, jury panels that we're going to put together for the courts. Now, once they come back from the jury, we'll be sitting them accordingly.
Correct.
Okay, and then once the court is ready for them, then the whole panel of 40 jurors is sent to the court.
Okay.
At the court, which is, we say, the second stage or second level, that's when they go through the voir dire process.
What is that?
The voir dire process is when the judge and the attorneys will give a brief explanation of what the case may be about, and they ask specific and general questions to each juror. And that's where they decide to select the 12
Those
jurors.
juries.
Mhm.
Okay.
So from those 40, they select the
12.
12. In the event that they may need an alternate, they'll select any alternative needed.
Okay. So eventually they'll get their 12 to go into that case.
Yes. Now, talking about pay, once you're selected to serve on a jury, you get paid $40 a day. So that's the
So
compensation.
you get $46 per day. So if it takes 3 days for the case,
It's $120.
Okay.
So
That's
yes,
a
they
lot.
get compensated. It may not be a lot, but it's a civic duty that we as citizens must do.
Correct. Here. Let's touch base a little bit on you.
Mhm.
How did you get involved in working in the county? What happened?
Okay, how did I get involved? Well, actually, I started working for the county at the age of 16. I started through a manpower program, which
Okay.
was a 6-week program. And during that time, I was a senior in high school. It was during the summer of my senior in high school. And right before the program ended, Mr. Gutierrez, who was my former boss, the former district clerk, he offered me a part-time job since I
Okay.
was going to be going to school. And after graduation from high school, he hired me full-time, and I've been there since.
Okay. Because I met you when you were working with Judge
Morales, yes. I did back in 1999. Judge Morales offered me a position when he took office, and I went in and worked for him. I worked for him for about 2 years.
Really?
And then I came back to the district clerk's office with Mr. Gutierrez, and when Mr. Gutierrez decided to retire, after 40 years of being in office, he decides to retire. I went ahead and ran for his position since it was going to be an open position. I ran, and I was blessed.
Yeah.
I was blessed, and I thanked the constituents of Webb County for giving me that vote of confidence.
And you have to see that it's your experience that counts, and
Yes.
people have to look at experience
Yes.
when they're selecting and voting for a candidate. Research
Yes.
the experience of each and every candidate, and here we have a perfect proof of somebody that has a lot of extensive experience within that department.
Yes.
What do you see? What changes are you looking for? What is, how can I say? I'm looking forward to this change now in the department. It's going to expand it. It's going to make it explode.
Okay. I took office in 2011, and since then I've been scanning, or I've had my staff scan every single document that comes into my office.
Sure.
From the petition to any subsequent filings to its final disposition. When I took office, I got a new software for the jury in which now jurors can claim their deferment online. And I know that before we used to have long line. Well, the jurors had to wait in line to get their certificate of service because we needed to write their names down. Now, since I took office, at the time that we're sitting them down, I hand to them their certificate of service together with their jury pay donation form.
Understood.
At the clerk's office, what I've done is I've started preserving records from the 1800s.
Okay.
And I mean, they were
Imagine,
they were
yeah.
deteriorating. They were and I mean, you couldn't even grab them because you were afraid that, they would come apart in your hands. So I started working, and so far I've preserved and restored all our not all of them, but the majority of our minute books. And right now I'm working on our historical records, the cases from 1951 back. We have to preserve them and restore them. And right now, as we actually yesterday, I had one of the representatives from the company that's helping us restore them. We're making plans on when is it that they can come and pick up, another 8 boxes of those cases. So we've been doing good. Yes, we have a new software, which is Odyssey, and we're still doing some tweaking, and there's been some glitches, but we're working on them. And I look for in the future to be able to get the documents online. That way attorneys, since they no longer come to the office to file documents, they can have access to viewing documents online. That's something that I've always wanted ever since I took office, but unfortunately right now we're being held just to make sure that everything works perfectly before we release those documents to the public.
That's interesting, and thumbs up for preserving history, because that's what we need to preserve, because that's if we do not know our history.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of historical cases.
Yeah. That's very interesting. So, you're up for re-election.
Yes, I am. Yes, okay. I am this coming March.
Well, the best of luck. And,
thank you.
And we know you're going to be doing great.
Thanks.
And what else would you like to tell?
Well, now that you're talking about election, I just want to thank the constituents of Webb County for the vote of confidence that they've given me, and that I continue asking them for their vote, and for them to know that my staff and I, we work very hard to give them the best service that our community deserves. And we're here, my office is open door policy. Anyone is welcome to come in and look at our historical records, the records that we've preserved, and it's open door to everyone.
Thank you. Here's a question: if somebody would like to get a copy of an old case, can they do that?
Yes. So as long as they're because our records are public records, but we do have some that are confidential. So as long as they're not confidential, yes, anyone can come and get a copy.
Okay. Okay. What makes a case confidential? Is it something that is drafted by law?
By law, there's some that are confidential. We have adoptions.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Expunctions.
Okay.
Some that may be confidential by court order.
Court order.
But the majority of the cases are public records.
Okay. Yeah, that's understandable.
Yes.
That's understandable. But you don't. The county clerk. What's kind of a difference between the county clerk and
the county clerk, the county courts of law,
right?
And they handle property records, wills, probates, guardianships. We don't handle that. We handle all the other civil cases.